You're welcome, guys, to the continuation of this very basic exercise on how to basically have an input search where user can put in some bunch of text about some cities in the world, and then you get to see that city, and then you filter that and display it on the user on the screen. So previously, I run you through a basic JavaScript explanation on how that works, and now we're currently going to put that on the DOM so you can display it to the user on the browser. So just like what I'm having here, once you type in there, some text, then we'll filter from list of available cities we have out there in the world, and then we display to the user on the screen. And as he keeps, typing in some bunch of text, as he keeps typing in more text, you see the item gets reduced. So quickly, I have here an index.html page, which is currently empty. I have it also here. We currently don't have anything there in. So let me just basically put in this HTML basic template and just give it any title you want to give it. I'll call it CD search. So that is the title, and then just like what we have here, we don't have anything. We just have just some input feed and then some blue screen where we get to show the user um, the 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 output from our search option. So let me just have that here also. I have some input field of type text, and then let me give it some ID of search input, and then we don't need a name, but you can give it a name if you want to. So let me just give some placeholder. I will guide the user. I will tell them enter city name. Okay, so that is for the search input. So we have it here, enter city name, and then we have let me have a div of display which should contain the blue screen. So I'll just give it some inner HTML styling here. I'll give it some background color of aqua. I think that is what we have there. So let me give it some width of 99%. I want it to be very, very dynamic. And then I want to give it a height of 99 view height as well. Okay, so yeah, that is it. That's what we have basically here. Just basically the the DOM and no text there. So now within our UL, just like what we have here, I want the user type in anything. Um, the user type in this Bogota or Colombia. You see some item being displayed here. So I want to display that as a list item. You can use anything you want to. You can use a paragraph. You can use a heading or anything you want to do. Work with. I basically want to put it in UL. So I'll have some some UL or some OL, and then wrap around some LI. So the list of cities will be wrapped within the LI. This is basically what I'm talking about. I want to have within my display here, I want to have some UL, and then within the UL, I'll have some LI. I'll have states one, and then so basically this is what I'm talking about. This is the finite we want to get, but we don't want to have the city being static here. We don't want to have them there. We want to have them being populated as user keep typing in some bunch of text there. So that's what we want to have. So we're not going to be putting that from the HTML. The JavaScript will be doing that for us. And so that is basically all for the HTML part. Now for the JavaScript, we can have an external script file that will handle that for us. But since it's very, very basic and small, I will be putting the script tag here on this very page. But I will actually recommend you to have an external file there so you can have some few lines of code on each file on your program. So for us to get that, we basically need two things. We need to grab three things basically. We need to grab the UL because that is the part that will be giving us the user input text. We need to grab this display div. That is where we'll be having. That is where we'll be appending or pushing in the list of states which we filter from, and that is how we'll basically be doing that. So we'll do that from the JavaScript part. We'll say by saying let um, user input to be document dot get element. You can get element by ID since we have ID here as such input. If you have a class there, you have to do a document get element by class name, or you can do document get element by query selector. So for query selector, let me try to show you. If you want to do that with query selector for the display div, let me call it this. So let me call this to be document dot query selector. Now, if you're using query selector for a div, you have to use the period and then the name of the div. I think I gave it the name of display, which is what we have here. So the name has to be the same with what you have here, and since it's a div, you have to use a period. If it's an ID, you can use the pound symbol, but since I'm using div, I have to use the period. So you have to be very, very mindful of that. And then for let's get the UL also. Let me call it UL equal. We can do a document.query selector as well. Document.query selector, and then what do we want to get? We want to get a UL. Now, since this is not a div, since it's not an ID, then you have to put the attribute, the tag attribute there, UL. And now this will grab all this UL. So we only have just one UL there. So this will grab all this UL. We currently don't have any other UL on our DOM. So you can go ahead and do that. But if you have some other UL, it will be very important to give it a div here, so you can just capture just this UL on your DOM. Now we basically need two functions. One of the functions we actually do the appending of the item for us on the DOM, just like what we have here, where we have this loop, pushing the item, and then we have a console log here that is just printing the value from the search outputs here for us on the console, but we're currently not showing that on the console. We'll be doing that on the DOM, so we can create a function that will be appending that or putting that on the DOM for us. So I can call the function show state, and then that will receive an array of state. And then what this function will actually do is to actually loop through each of them and then append it on the DOM. So we can just basically have li to be an empty string for now, and then we can go ahead and run the for loop for let I let me call it state of array of states. So now, so looking through each of them, what we want to basically say is li want to append each of the states to li in this format by saying I want to put it in DOM format, and then I have here the state going in, and then I will close the section of the li, and then after appending all of that, then we can go ahead and say ul, which is this part of the DOM we selected here. Let me call it list. Good. So now we can append all of the item we have from the loop here on our list here on the DOM by saying list dot inner HTML equals li. So what we are currently having here is the for loop will give us. Let me put some kind of comment here so you understand what I'm trying to say. Now this is what the for loop is actually doing. Now on the first iteration, the for loop will actually help us to create something like this. Let me assume we have a state 1, and then to close it this way. And then on the second iteration, the for loop will also keep on adding that once again, and then this will now be on the second iteration. So we might have a state 2, then the third one might have a state 3, just like that. So this will be appended all on our li item. And lastly, we are now picking all of these li item, which the for loop appended. We are now inserting that to be as part of our as the element within our ul. So what we are doing is we are picking all of that and then we are putting it here on the ul section of the DOM. So that is basically what that function is in for. So that is basically it about the function. And then now, if we try to kind of search within on our DOM, we currently don't see anything. This is simply because whenever you create a function, you need to call on the function. And currently, we cannot just go ahead and call the function on the script tag. We need to trigger this function, or we need to call on this function through an event. So an event needs to trigger this function and then execute that part of the function. And that can actually be triggered, just like what we have here. The function is being triggered whenever the user tries to type in any key. So we can trigger the same function using the key up event listener. So, and that function can be triggered from our input field path, which is what we call the user input here. So we can add an event listener to user input. Whenever the user is inputting anything, we can add an event listener. So we say user input.add event listener. What kind of event do we want to listen to? The event is called key up event. So now, whenever there's any key up, then we need to raise the function. So let's have the function here. The function will receive an event, and then so quickly, let me try to alert whenever the user inputs something, so we can confirm if the function is being called. Console log, or let me just go ahead and alert something. Alert hello. So what we're seeing here is whenever there's any keystroke or key up, whenever there's any key up rather on a user input, we want to alert this message on the DOM. So let's quickly test and see if I have let me refresh my DOM. If whenever I type in anything here, we can see we are triggering this alert, which is being called, which is being part of our function here. So we are going to call on this function, show state function. Let me give some space here. Whenever the user is inputting, whenever the user is typing in some keys, and at the same time, we're going to be passing some array of outputs into this function. Now, what this function is basically doing is looping through this array and then mapping it and putting it on the DOM. So at this point, we need to grab the user input text by saying let current input to be e.target.value. So this will give us the current text that user is typing in. So if we try to, once again, let me try to print that. Console.log current input. So let's see what this will currently give us on the console. So if we say, can you see, as I keep on typing some things, then we see that getting printed. So the e.target.value will actually give us the current input or the current value of that section of the input field. So we've gotten that, and it's very important we just go ahead and convert it to lowercase to avoid case sensitivity issue in our search field. Okay, at this point we've gotten the current user input field, and now we can go ahead and filter from a list of state. Let me quickly grab some list of states out there in the world and then just paste it here. And so I have here currently some list of state which we'll be filtering from and showing the user on the DOM. So now back to our event listener function, and then we can say we can create let output output array. Let's have it to be empty for now. So what we'll be doing is we'll be filtering from a list of states here, and then any state that is currently meeting the condition of you know that includes the user input. They want to filter it out and then show that to the user. So we can say output array is equal to state dot filter. So we want to filter each of the states. This is an array method. So we want to filter each state, and then we want to check if the state dot, let's also convert it to lowercase, if it includes the current user input, then we want to return that into our output array here. Now, after the filter, then we can go ahead and call on the show state function and then pass in the output array immediately. So this will pass the filter output state into the show state function. Now, that will work, but we currently need to let me show you that quickly on the DOM. Now, if I have here A, we can see that it's working. If I put in a B, U, and we can see that. So now currently we have some empty, the user input field is empty, but we still have some state showing there because when the user is typing in some bunch of keys, the output array is having some values. So we need to give some conditional check here to clear the output array whenever the user input is empty. So by saying if current input dot length is equal to 0, then we want to make our output array, want to clear it out, want to make it to be empty. So we want to have that, and so now let's go ahead and check once again. Let me refresh here. So if I have A, B, U, J, then if I clear this, then we have it empty there and nothing is currently being displayed on the screen. So that is basically the simple step on how you can implement this and how you can also show some kind of implement some kind of search functionality using JavaScript and HTML. And so this is one of the very basic way on how to do it. And there are other couple of ways you can also implement this very approach, and you can try to test that on your own. I will be posting this code on a GitHub repo. You can see the GitHub repo link on the description below. If you want to see the code or you want to try it on your own, you can feel free to clone the GitHub repo and also test it on your own. So thank you very much for watching, and thank you for sticking. And please do feel free to subscribe so you can get notified whenever I create some kind of video tutorial on how to work with JavaScript, HTML, CSS, jQuery, React, and so much more. Thank you once again for watching, and bye.